Tales of the Empire is continuing the animation streak for Star Wars and bringing some big reveals for the time frame leading up to Ahsoka. But what does it all mean? And who is the evil figure in the new Acolyte trailer? Welcome to Star Wars Uplink, your place for everything Star Wars gaming, the TV shows, and the movies. Let's jump in.
Just you reconsider playing that message for him.
We are less than a month away from Star Wars The Acolyte. And with it, there is coming a lot of theories, ideas, expectations. We're getting more trailers. We're getting more information. We finally have the poster for it. And on the poster leading up, it got leaked a little bit early. And then it got revealed with a trailer on Star Wars Day, May the 4th. As well as Tales of the Empire, which we'll be talking about later on in the episode, so stay tuned for that. But we have a lot of this content and this information around Star Wars Acolyte. This most recent trailer is actually giving us a lot more detail and like what to actually expect.
Yeah, it was so nice because it's like we've been hearing these things and we understand kind of the concept of what they're going for, but now it's like, oh, this is how they're going to pull it off in a story. Yes.
Here's what it's actually going to look like.
Yep.
Here are the goals. Here are the characters. Here is the story that is going to be told. We don't know the specifics, and I think that's good. I think that they're doing a really good job of like holding the right cards under the table kind of thing, but giving us exactly what we need to expect. And what I find really funny is that a lot of people, we watched The Phantom Menace in theaters, and after the credits they had, it was probably like a maybe 5 to 7 minute segment of the show. It was pretty short.
Yeah.
But what I found really funny was a lot of people didn't necessarily know Acolyte was even a thing.
Yeah, that's true. It definitely felt like most people, at least in the theater, were just like, oh.
Wait, there's a new Star Wars thing?
What's
what?
this?
On Disney Plus? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I guess the advertising, I guess, for this has not been widespread or as widespread as what we might think.
Yeah, I think there's a big problem with Star Wars marketing. They are right now mostly just marketing to the hardcore audience, the people like us that are making these videos or watching these videos. Like, we all know what's going on, but generally there aren't a lot of people that know what the heck is going on with Star Wars. And that is where it gets a little bit more complicated. It's hard to necessarily nail down and really tell the grandma that has Disney Plus and enjoys the Star Wars stuff, but doesn't necessarily know when anything new is coming out, or watch them with their grandkids, or watch them when they first came out, or what have you. There's not that information out there really yet, so this is a good start.
That's true. Like, where would you see that? I mean, I guess on Disney Plus they've got the banner that says coming soon.
Yeah. That just recently started.
Yeah, but other than like YouTube, how would you even know to look for such a thing? Like, that's fascinating to me because, I get all my news from you.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But that's besides the point.
Yeah.
In the trailer, we get a lot of revelations, more context around things. But most intriguingly, we get at the end, and up in the little top of the poster, we get this very evil-looking masked figure with a red lightsaber. First of all, I love the mask. The mask looks incredible.
Yeah.
It looks like it has like ragged teeth up the side of it. And I think that just looks super cool and evil looking. And when we were watching The Phantom Menace, I pointed out, like, okay, there's the line that says, we haven't seen a Sith for century.
For millennia.
Millennia. So 1,000 years is apparently the last time that they really saw or thought of the Sith as this one thing, which I find really hard to believe.
Yeah, it could be that they're going to play it off as this is something that the Jedi are going to overlook, like they're going to kind of scratch it out of the histories or whatever. So
they erased a whole planet, so like
fair enough. Anything goes.
Exactly. The Jedi archives in the library are not so concrete.
Yes, it is fallible.
Yes. There is a lot of that. So that was something that I picked up on. I was really like keeping an eye out because I wanted to see like what the actual wording was. So that is necessarily the case. I think a lot of it is like, oh, they aren't really a Sith. Like, if you haven't seen a Sith for 1,000 years, would you really know they were a Sith? Always two there are, never more, never less kind of thing. So there's a lot of questions on the specifics of like the lore and the things. Like maybe the Jedi Council just doesn't get a lot of the in the field stuff, which I think would make total sense because they're so separated from the day-to-days of like a normal Jedi. But that is, I don't think it's something that Acolyte necessarily has to do,
right.
But it's definitely going to be there in the back of our minds for everyone.
Yeah, I was surprised that they showed so much of this new character. I have to assume that this is a completely net new bad guy character.
Well, that's my question. Do you think it's the main character? Do you think that's her? And that's just like a misdirection piece of like she is going around like very visually as herself and then is going to make a switch at some point to be this person? Do you think that's going to be like the almost like MacGuffin type thing?
Gotcha.
Or like rogue red herring? Or do you think this is actually a person? Or maybe it's just like Malik in Ahsoka just not being a person at all, but just being like a puff of smoke.
Right. Some animated goo that is
or
acting
robot.
As
or, the doors are open for something along those lines. Let's just be real here.
Yeah. The feeling that I get from Acolyte is no, like, and especially just looking at what we've gotten so far with Star Wars shows and stories, I haven't ever seen them do something like that. I don't think they would push that envelope. I just don't feel like Acolyte is the one that they're going to do that with, as far as like roping in a character into this position. And I don't know, just the way that they presented it, it doesn't feel like that's where they're going with it.
Well, that's my whole theory of like they're making it really clear that these are separate people.
Yeah.
But it's possible that they are the same person at that same note.
Fair enough. I don't think so, though.
Yeah. Well, we will see in less than a month now. But do you think, obviously this is a new time period. This is something that is very new to the High Republic. The High Republic's villain isn't Force related. It's some like other entity. So I think this is really fascinating, but I think there's multiple layers to the story. I think there's like the main story, which is our main character, which I've yet to learn the name of so far to memory. But it's our main character, and I think her goal is to, hey, take out some of the Jedi that have wronged her in her upbringing or training, or she's been wronged by the system and wants to take out that revenge side of things. And then I think that there is a subplot, which is like the deeper stuff. Like she inadvertently is a pawn to a greater plan. And that is where I think the core of Acolyte is, and where it could set up, if they deem it so, multiple seasons down the road.
Yeah, that feels true. It feels like there's multiple subplots going on.
Oh, yeah.
So that excites me. I
There's like the Jedi Master side. There's the actual Jedi Apprentices side. There's
this
sisters.
Yeah,
almost.
the sister queen
Cult
lady
thing,
cult thing going on. And then there's the dark side, used lightsaber looking masked person. Like there seems to be a lot going on, but all of it points to just them. It seems that the goal is they're trying to rebalance whatever it is that the Jedi have made unbalanced. So, like this power that the Jedi have, everyone kind of wants. So we're seeing like the people start to nitpick at that.
Or even that the Jedi are just scared to lose. Like they've gained this power over the course of millennium, and they are looking to keep that. The status quo. So now that the status quo is getting questioned and like pushed a little bit, what does it look for that? What does it look like for that to be questioned? What actions are the Jedi going to take to maintain that power, maintain that strength when it's questions or challenged a bit?
I like that in the trailer. is it Master Soul? Is that who the teacher of the main character?
Maybe.
I think that's what his name is. I like that he asks, "What are you?" and not "Who are you?"
Yeah.
Like there's a good distinction there because it's like you can't be human.
You've got a
You can't be.
lightsaber,
Yeah,
and apparently
you've
you're
got a red
force
lightsaber.
sensitive.
What is this? Like, I like that it feels like the Jedi are just so
They're
out
so
of
disconnected.
it. Yeah, they're so disconnected from everything that that they don't even know. They don't even know.
Are you excited for this like new wrinkle in the fabric, like this new part of what we know of as Acolyte? Because this is something very new to this specific trailer and now the poster.
Yeah.
Are you looking forward to this being a part of what Acolyte is?
I mean, I'm never gonna say no to some Sith-looking person. I think it's a really interesting development. I don't know what way I lean yet. I hope it doesn't take away from what their original like feeling of it was.
Yeah.
Hopefully it doesn't take away from the character's journey of like leaning more towards dark side and stuff like that. Like I hope it doesn't take away from that. It's too early to say though.
Mm-hmm. I think it's cool to see. Would I like to see like more of like a streamlined, like what does it look like for there not to be an explicit dark side user with a red lightsaber? But am I going to say no to red lightsaber? We get so few of them in Star Wars. And we get so few of them that aren't related to Palpatine in Star Wars in one way or the other. So I'm really excited to see this new part of the galaxy and this new exploration. So I'm very much excited on that aspect of things.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, one more thing too, like the combat in this show is incredible. The 5 to 7 minute stuff that we saw, it was just a single fight scene, like very few words were spoken.
Love it.
And it was just pure incredibleness. Obviously, it looks a little bit different on the trailer. Like I was like a little bit more questioning about the combat in the trailer, but watching it like uncompressed, not like 1080p on like even just a laptop screen or something like, but watching it in the theaters and getting that immersive experience and looking at it in that way, I'm very much excited for the combat in this show.
Yeah, this is next level. Like, this is the good stuff, guys. This is the Jedi versus Force user combat we've been needing. You know, like
very force heavy.
Yes, which is great. Love to see it and not feel too overpowered in a way. Like it feels very balanced.
Yeah, it's not like Darth Vader versus someone who's not utilizing the Force or anything like that. It's very much like they're utilizing the Force in ways to improve their combat, not necessarily to just end the fight as quickly as possible, or even not. Like, honestly, I would question even if they were able to do something like that with the Force. So there are these examples of, this is a clear example of like utilizing the Force to its full capacity in helping you with combat rather than just being a little, oh, I'm going to pull this thing or I'm going to push that thing. It's like, nope, I'm going to help freeze this moment for a second. Let's pause this. Let me get my breath and then we'll go back into it.
Yeah, there's definitely a warrior feeling to it, like where it's like you really have to train. Like I don't know, there's like an effort that you don't usually get to see, especially like in the prequels, where it's just kind of like, oh, I can just push and pull and jump and do all these things. Like there's an effort to it that this
is a fight. It's not a dance.
Yeah. It feels good. It feels good.
And we've been watching the John Wick movies for the first time too. So like we've got some clear examples of some really good like hand-to-hand combat kind of stuff, and it feels very much John Wick-esque. So that's good.
Yeah.
And then like switching gears, we've got a broadening of what is or can be expected with Star Wars with Tales of the Empire, which we've seen the Morgan Elsbeth aspect of it, which I think is a really good piece. But we'll talk about the Bear stuff later on in the week on the YouTube channel, so make sure you're subscribed. Head over there for that. But I want to talk about Morgan Elsbeth. And I was saying this as we were watching the episodes, like, I didn't realize she was such a big part to this big story, to the canvas that the Mandoverse is.
Yeah.
Until Ahsoka, and I was like, I didn't really connect the dots. Like, I honestly didn't recognize her as the same character being in this big role. So I really appreciate this level of like filling in the gaps here.
Yeah, this is what I feel like Tales of the Empire and Tales of the Jedi are really supposed to be good at.
Yes.
Is like actually making us see deeper into these characters, get more, not necessarily like get their backstories and understand why they are the way they are. Yes, but like more than that, it's more about like validating them in a way. Yeah. Like it actually makes them cooler.
It does.
In the live action stuff, it's like, oh, okay. More context was actually really needed.
Especially, like, I think they did a really good job with Tales of the Empire. Tales of the Jedi, I think they struggle with. We didn't necessarily need to see more Ahsoka. We had examples of Ahsoka's past in the books, the comics, the TV show, for goodness sake. Count Dooku I really appreciated, but I don't think they did a really good job of nailing down the pieces that made him Count Dooku.
Mm-hmm. Especially in 3 episodes.
Yeah, especially in 3 episodes. There's more to that character than can be portrayed in 3 episodes. So with Tales of the Empire, I think they learned a lot from those mistakes that they made, or maybe not mistakes, but like shortcomings of that series. In this one, because as we're standing with the Morgan Elsbeth aspect of things, we're getting good actionable detail and context to her journey, to where she gets to in The Mandalorian, and then furthermore in Ahsoka.
Yeah. I had completely forgotten that she was that she was in
Mandalorian season 2, yeah.
Okay, so it is, okay. Yeah, I had totally forgotten all about that. Like when we get to that scene where it's like we're in that Zen like garden thing, I'm like, wait a second, I've been familiar here before. I'm like, and then it's like suddenly it's like a whole flashback of Mandalorian coming back to my brain. I'm like, what is up with that?
Well, when we saw Morgan in Ahsoka, I didn't know who the heck she was, and then I started digging deeper, and everyone's like, oh yeah, we saw her in Mandalorian. Who?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
she's the spear lady. Oh, okay.
Right.
And that was maybe one of those things where like they had all of this background and context to the character when they put her there, that they didn't do a good job of like really explaining. Like, why does she know who Thrawn is? That's never explained until you get to Tales of the Empire.
Yeah.
And there it is. That's why she has the connection to Thrawn. Thrawn is the person that helped put her to where she was at that point.
Yep.
Incredible, like, just deepening of the lore of Star Wars.
I am a little surprised that they gave her the credit of the Thrawn project of the TIE fighters getting that upgrade. The bombers. Yeah, I'm surprised.
Or interceptors, maybe.
Yeah. I'm not entirely sure what the name of those planes are, but I'm surprised that they gave her that credit. Because that always seemed to me like a very Thrawn thing.
Yeah.
But now they're saying it's more of like Thrawn is just supporting that, and he's the one who's pushing it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think that was an interesting choice. Gives her more credit for sure. I have some questions about her character development.
She didn't necessarily develop as a character in these. She was the same, and all of her surroundings changed.
Yeah.
Which I think is an interesting shift for what Star Wars is, because typically throughout the story, Star Wars is very much hero of 1,000 faces kind of stuff. Like the hero's journey is something that Star Wars very much sticks to. And it's noticeable when they don't do that. And part of that hero's journey is by the end of the hero's journey, you are a different person. Like you've gone through all of these different things, and that's part of it. In Morgan Elsbeth's case, she doesn't necessarily change. And she doesn't necessarily fight for what she ends up getting until it is questioned or tried to be taken away from her. In terms of like the New Republic aspect. Right.
Yeah. I had come up with this question when we had just finished the last episode of that, and I was like, why issues with the Empire. Like,
Yeah.
because weren't they the ones who eventually, like, in a convoluted way, ended up being the people who destroyed her planet?
Yeah, the Separatists won more in the like Republic becoming the Empire than the Republic did with becoming the Empire.
Yeah. So I'm curious as to who she's trying to like actually get revenge on by being a part of the Empire. Again, 3 episodes, we're not going to get that.
Yeah.
We're not able to get that deep into all that, which is fine. But yeah, it was just like a little bit of a head scratcher for me. I was just
do you
like,
not realize where you are, like Dathomir,
Yeah.
all of that extra context and everything, like you not realize the bigger picture here?
Yeah.
And probably she doesn't.
She probably
and that's
doesn't.
probably kept, like Thrawn's probably keeping her in the dark to like better contain that situation.
Oh, sure. It's all manipulation.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. And she's just a cog in the machine. Like she's a very impactful cog in the machine, and eventually is like really impactful if you look at Ahsoka, really.
Yeah.
And the Night Sisters like becoming this big thing once again. Mm-hmm. I think it's really interesting to see that development of the world in terms of like her place in the world.
Did you notice the titles for those 3 episodes?
I did not.
I thought it was a really interesting choice. So it was the path of fear, the path of anger, and then the path of hate. So fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering.
Yeah.
So it's. I thought it was a great title. Like I thought that's fun. But also I was kind of like, that's an interesting choice to give it to her, like in her story. Because I mean, yeah, I guess I can kind of see where they're going with it, but. I don't know. I thought it was just really interesting. I was wondering if you had picked up on that at all.
I did not make that connection. That's a good little detail there. Mm-hmm. And honestly, you get to see her suffering side of things when we get to Ahsoka. So
yeah.
Very clear on Yoda's wise words there. Mm-hmm. That's good.
Yeah.
I'll have to, when we get to the Barris stuff, I'm going to have to pay attention to those as well, because I think there might be something there too. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I never really take much stock into the actual titles of the shows.
Yeah.
It's like, story's going to happen, but that's a good detail.
Yeah.
I like that. It's going to have to pay attention to the titles more. But let us know your thoughts on all of the different things that we touched on today with these various stories in the Tales of the Empire, as well as the new villain of Star Wars Acolyte. Let us know your theories in the comments below if you're watching this on YouTube, or contact at uplinkpodcast.com, wherever you find podcasts. As always, thanks for listening, and may the Force be with you.